Okie dokies. What are we doing today then? Well, as you can see in front of us here, we have a cardboard box. Why have we got a cardboard box? Well, Phoenicia, or district, or the first world of district, is a walled city. I will probably try and find some photos to stick up on the side of Nulon. It's a Chinese walled city. It's one of those things that gave me the inspiration to do district in the first place. That and District 9. But it is shanties and built things. Now, you've seen me do the TT combat stuff. The reason I do the TT combat stuff is I like the cubeness of it. I like the designs. There's quite a few of them kicking around in a minute. So there's a triangle one I'm presently painting up. You've seen the square ones. I do a mix of concrete, rust and steel. As you can see, rusty, muddy footprints because they're well used walkways and paths, which means they have to run around a lot, and I like to have really, really dense scenery for the game. It's a small board, and as such, I like to have cover and things. Also, it gives you a nicer atmosphere. You'll see one of these boards built soon, because that's generally what I'm doing here. So this is a cardboard box. You know how to build a cardboard box? Let's show you how to build a cardboard box. It's fairly straightforward. They are 8cm squares. So we're going to measure down 8cm along this edge. I need to put my glasses on, because I can't see anymore. Oh, getting old. Get over it. Right. So, edge of the thing. Going to mark out 8cm down. This is 2mm press board. The same stuff I built the paint rack with. So I am just going to line out 8cm along here, or 80mm, or for the Americans, a little bit over 3 inches. And once we've done that, that should be close enough. Line it up. Draw my line. Right, so now this needs to be divided up yet again. It is 8cm squares, so we're going to go 8, 16, 24. Oh no, we can't get to 32. What a disaster. So what I'll actually do is do another 8 down here. 8 off that line, so they're level. I know you probably should do it all off there and work it across. That's not that important. Then across here. And done. And then we'll do 8 across here as well. Now, what we should do is do 8, 16, 24. Now, it's 2mm thick. We're going to cut it along that line to make it curve. And then we have the next bit, which we're going to curve. We're going to put a flap on it to glue and hold it in place. Now, here comes the issue, because when I did this one, I did it in 3. So you can see here where the fold is, here where the fold is, here where the fold is, and then I just cut another one to slot in, and then use different patches of card, because there's quite a lot left over, to fill the gaps. And then obviously I cut these sections here. Yeah, again, just 8cm cube. Well, actually no, that's 8 by it's 7. So it's 7 by 1. So 7 by 2, slice, fold, wrap around to make the corner. And then the door was just a piece and then some bits cut down. But we're going to do this one in 2s. So we will put the slider there and we'll do that. We'll put the slider there and we'll do that. So that's our fold. And we need a tab to glue on the back. So if we cut off, we'll eyeball 2mm here. I said I'm going to eyeball this, and then what I've done is I've put the ruler on and I've measured it. Because, you know, what I say and what I do is not always the same. Because that then will be the slice there, and this bit we'll just do a tab out like that, out there, You know what? We'll measure out a centimetre. Let's make it a centimetre and a half. We want a properly firm tab, and we'll do that. And then we'll slide that down like so. And at some point, we'll use one of these panels here for the roof. I'll show you how to build the top. We may use a support strut still, like we have in here, just to, because you got to think, you got to put your models on it. And as such, that's the way it does. So, as always, we're using a knife. Be careful. I am using this. So I'm just going to line my ruler up. I have got a safety ruler. My fingers are away from the edge. And I'm just going to gently score down. And we're just going to cut through it slowly. Because we don't want to slip. We want that edge to stay straight. See, there it goes. Then we're going to cut along here. Same again, just nice and slow. That's off. We're going to cut the back line. But we're not going all the way through. 1, 2, 3. That'll be, or maybe four bends. We'll try and make sure that's straight. I'm also just going to cut the corners off this so I know that it's folding on the inside. See? We're not going to worry about angles because, you know, it's just a support to hold it. And then we will cut the middle slightly just to get it to split. I may go a little bit deeper on this one because we will probably cover it afterwards. Right, I will go do the other half and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so we have the 2 bits cut. And that's fairly straightforward. Now, they are at slightly different heights. Why? Because I didn't measure properly. And that happens. But what we're going to do, I'm going to take the glue. I'm just going to run a bead of glue down this edge. Run a bead of glue down this edge. I'm going to make a square. Now, that'll now dry. This is fairly quick drying actually. It's still the same stuff I was using before. So you saw Expo, what was it? Oh, I don't know. It came from my local model shop. Mason's Models in Spalding, if you know where that is. Right, so that's that done. He says, still holding it. Right, so yeah, no, that is done. And you can see they're fairly similar size. Now, I need to put a roof on it. To put a roof on it, I am going to build some supports. I'm going to use one of these offcuts. Here is an offcut. So, should we support it on the 4 sides? So, to do that, we need to draw up 4 different designs. Well, not 4 different designs, 4 different pieces. So, what do you think? We'll go 4 centimetres. So, we want 4. So, there, we'll go to 8 there. So, we'll go 6, 4, 2, 1. 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. So the idea of Phoenicia, being the first of the habitable planets in District, was it wasn't what happens when it goes wrong. It was more of a what happens when there's a rebellion. So I wanted to have this. I'm going to say it's a 100-kilometre square area that they built the shielding for the planet. And they tried to fit everything in the middle of it. And in the centre of the world is the central city, and that's been locked since the Civil War, and no one's been able to get into it. This is not a bad thing. It has meant that the outside has been governing itself. But the central city has the ability to turn on and off the shield, which defends from the outside elements. So what will happen? They will ask for resources, and the surrounding districts will have to supply them. But they can't remember what district has what resource. So they end up fighting amongst themselves and stealing from each other to get the products. Because it is survival. Also, if you want cash or outside goods, you need to be able to talk to the central city. And the central city generally doesn't want to know. But within that central city is the spaceport. It is the hub. And there are gangs and so on that work within that. And you need to make deals with them to get resources. Because just because you live in a farming district and you can get food doesn't mean you can get metal for tools. Or you can get produce parts that you need for machinery. So, these little gangs that pop up and little groups are there for survival reasons. They're not there to make a buck or money. It is purely for survival, which I quite like the idea of. Now, you'll also notice that everything seems to be painted grey or metallic. There is an abundance of metal on Phoenicia, which is easy to get hold of. But everything isn't grey. Everything's actually painted white. And it's the constant buffeting on the outer shield that makes everything look grey. Because as it gets hit, it does more damage to the shields. The shields glow and flash blue. Those are electrical, and they're very early shields. Remember, the whole of the district system, every world, it is based in a very, very tentative... We've just gone to the stars. We've recently gone to the stars. I would say we've just gone to the stars. We've recently gone to the stars to expand. And most of the humans, now they're away from Earth, are rebelling. Which is fun. Because, obviously, if you haven't got a controlling government, you're going to do your own thing, aren't you? I am generally bodging this, by the way, at the moment, to try to make it level. Because they are shanties. These are boxes of to make living space for the increasing population to defend, and they are generally just thrown up. The original world, when it was started, was giant 3D printing materials. So, like a giant concrete maker, came down as a droid, and it went round and built the world, or built the city, central city, sucking up materials, changing the construction of it, and then printing effectively concrete houses for the first settlers to live in once they landed on the planet. Because some worlds had predetermined builds, so the droids and machinery was sent out ahead of the colonist ships. And some worlds were accidentally built. We'll get into that later, because after I finished writing the first rules with Phoenicia, the next book is to be one of the mistake worlds. So the ship crashed on the planet, and there was nothing there to start with. So they had there lots of fighting and arguing to basically make their world. But that's still in my mind and still being designed. This is a roof that I'm doing right now. So we'll just slice it off. And then we're just going to quite simply glue that onto those supports that I just put in. See? Like this. I am also just going to run a bead around the edge. Though we know some of these edges are lower than others, so this will be fun. There's going to be glue everywhere. But that's fine, because it will just look like weld lines. And as I say, they're not meant to be pretty. They're meant to look ramshackle and forced, and because populations grow, and if you haven't got the resources to build because you can't get outside of your shield, so that's going to be another thing we'll talk about later down the line. You're going to do whatever you can to build your stuff. So there's our box. Here's our first box. Here's our second box. We can just look. They are the same height. See? Once I've got the lid on. So we're just going to greebly this up a bit to make it look more like a living quarters. So that one's got the door on it. That isn't big enough for a human to live in. But if you bang that next to it, that's more of a hovel. The doors were designed on a 30mm base. So that's a 25mm. But see? Have I got... there's a bigger base. And if I just lift that up, you can see he would look like he could pass through the door. I think that's a 30mm as well. See? There you go. And that was the idea. And the 30mm, but it's also designed for a 45, because when I do district models, I like them to be able to be printed in 28, 35, 34 and 45mm. So you can, it's a small board. So if you want a game with bigger models, you can do. But if you want to run it on a slightly bigger board, you'd be fine with that as well. By the way, this hasn't been PVA'd. This was just sprayed straight away with one of the Citadel undercoats. Astra Militarum Grey, I believe. And then I just sprayed over that with lead belcher to do the edges. And there's bits and pieces. I like the idea of them being metal. It will be rusted up eventually. Right, let's go back to the box. What are we going to do? We're going to do the sides. Let's do the sides. So, to do those sides, it's 7cm because it's 8cm high, and we want a centimetre across the top. So we will just run 7cm across this. There may be enough here to do it. I am still using the same original piece of A4 press board. So there's my 7cm. So it's a centimetre either side, and we've got 4 corners. So that's 8cm again. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll do the same at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And we'll just do the strip. It's pretty much the same way I just made those strips that support the inside. I'll be honest with you, I don't think the top section, though this is a centimetre, it's only going to do one side. So we'll chop the top off. Yet again, be careful with your knife. Take your time, slide it along. There we go. Right, I'm going to cut the edge off. That might make a nice door at the end. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Also, sharp blades are important when using knives, but to be honest, this one isn't sharp anymore because I've done this loads. You just go through way too many blades, continually putting a sharp blade in. So just take your time, be careful, use the edge properly, and it will, see, slide through it as you go. And there's the last one. Now obviously it's your box. You can make it look however you want. This is just how I do it. Once you've got your main box shape and it's all tough and supported, you could make corrugate on it. You could use anything. Now the reason I'm using pressboard, I used to make these in cardboard. You know that 120 grain stuff you'd get from paper mill? I used to build it with that. They will support, but if they get damp, they will collapse. The pressboard is slightly tougher and a lot thicker. That's it. That is purely the only reason. And the bonus of when you're doing this bit, if you cut too far, it doesn't matter because you're going to glue them to these edges. Just going to run the glue down on these two because you don't really need to see me watch all four. And it's the most basic of scenery, but you know what? For your games, it'll take up the room. And you could use it for anything. You could use it in Necromunda, you could use it in Infinity. Now, this is my thing. Warhammer games, everything looks destroyed, everything looks beat up and smashed. It's constant war. It doesn't fit in my head with the game I'm playing. Infinity and Dead Space and Mantic's games and so on, All their scenery looks way too neat and tidy. Do they honestly think, as humans, look at the world we live in. Look at us. We will use whatever we can lay our hands on to make whatever we're doing. Look at me now. I'm using bits of pressboard and box. But it's the same in the real world. You look at the third world countries and that. They use corrugated iron. They use sheets of wood. They will build whatever they can to survive. And that is what District is. It's humans using whatever they can to survive. So I don't like these massive destroyed war-torn battlefields. I'd like to see, and I hope that if once the game's released and everyone sees it and gets into it, that you guys will do the same. I don't want to see these massive war-torn battlefields. I don't want to see battlefields that are pristine and clean and tidy. I want to see things like this, where you've gone, oh no, I need to live here. I'm going to take my pallet that my last shipment of goods came in and I'm going to turn it into my bathroom. I'd like to see stuff like that. I want to see... It doesn't mean you're going to, because let's be honest, as YouTubers go, I'm not a good one. But if you have these interests in games and that, create your own thing. Make your world. And this is the other thing. Down the line, once I've got District finished, and I keep saying this, but once I've got the design finished and the game is released, and we've done a few worlds, I will release a how to build your own world. How to create your own universe. As it goes, gangs are randomly generated. And there will be a random generation table for creating what you want to create. I've always been a believer that, especially in tabletop, what you want to do is your game. I've given you a building blocks for a game. Please go play your game how you want to play it. Yes, the rules are there for you to work out and do, but generally, it's still your game. I'm going to do an odd thing here. So this is slightly longer than that. I'm going to keep it in one length. I'm going to score the ends, and I'm going to wrap it around. Right, how long are you? You are 12 centimetres. So, shall we do 4 and 4? Is that right? No, that's not right. It's going to be 2 and 2, isn't it? It is. It's 2 and 2. Because 12 minus 4 is 8, not 12 minus 4 is 8. You'll notice I'm not using the ruler here. I'm just... Because, yeah, again, want it to be bodgy. Done. And then I will cut some other bits up. But this was just a look at how I want Phoenicia to look. How I want the game idea for scenery to play. While we are... that wasn't quite enough. Oh, well, that'll do. Just push. While I do want there to be rules and ideas, it's like weapons. We're playing on a small board. If you've got a rifle, it's going to fire across the board. So we're not going to have ranges with ranged weapons. They're just going to be guns, and you're going to fire them, and they're going to be different strengths. I may write a short range rule set, just to something to give you an idea of a bonus for the short range. I might not do. I haven't decided yet. I am, and Dave from MS Paints, I agree with him on this one. Different dice for different weapons. There will be different dice for different weapons. Different weapons will have different strengths. So a weak weapon will be a D4. Because, you know, when you're rolling to wound, it's not that strong. Why would you have anything higher than a D4? It may just take off a piece of armour. It may not do any damage whatsoever. It may just be an annoyance and keep you pinned down. But something like a massive plasma weapon that you know is going to gut half a mining community, that's going to be a D12. Okay, what I just did, if that was on camera, please do not do. So I'm going to put that across there, and then I'm going to do another one. Have we got another one? Oh yeah, there's another one there. We'll do that, and that'll be the roof on top of that roof, so it makes it level. But yeah, so there's loads of little concepts I'm working on and things that you may see in some games, you may not see in others. And yes, this is being done at weird angles because, yet again, want it to look slapdash. Right, that's me done for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, this stuff takes paint, doesn't warp it. This was done last week. I meant to film it and then I didn't because I had other things going on. But hasn't warped, hasn't says, fairly solid. So yeah, pressboard. Who'd have thought about it? I'm not going to stick the link in the description for this one. But that's mainly because it's Amazon. So, right. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to go and finish doing this. See you later.